We saw a couple of potential contenders make some pretty big moves.
They loaded up at playmaker. I love that for Houston. I mean, they got Stephon Diggs. We're into year 2 of CJ Stroud, and they're making some big moves.
We take a look back at some of the moves that were made in the draft, free agency, and on the trade market, and pick the 5 biggest winners and losers from the 2024 offseason. Winner, Atlanta Falcons. As much as it may come as a surprise to NFL fans that are used to the Atlanta Falcons being the butt of their jokes, Atlanta actually came out of the 2024 offseason as a clear winner, even if they did end up getting trolled pretty aggressively for some of their moves online. But in reality, the strategy should pay off. It all started with their bold move to bring in Kirk Cousins. Sorry, Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, y'all were definitely not the guys. And, well, Cousins might be. Yeah, he's 36 and coming off a torn Achilles, but you know, the Falcons are trying to contend, and Cousins gives them a real chance to do just that. Atlanta's offense is loaded with skill position players like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, who have been itching for a legitimate QB to throw them the ball. They also added Darnell Mooney and Rondale Moore to boost their depth at wide receiver, giving Cousins even more weapons to work with. The draft, however, was where things got a little bit interesting. Obviously, at this point, everyone knows and likely made fun of Atlanta for using their number 8 pick on quarterback Michael Penix Jr. It's clear that the Falcons are thinking the long term here. Penix is a raw talent with a lot of upside, and the plan seems to be for him to learn behind Cousins, much like how Jordan Love did in Green Bay. There are still some questions about the Falcons' defensive line and secondary, especially after losing Bud Dupree and Jeff Okudah. But with additions like Luka Romero and Braylon Trice in the draft, the Falcons are betting on these young players to step up quickly. If they can, and if Cousins performs as expected, well, Atlanta is poised to make some serious noise in the NFC South. Loser, New England Patriots. The Patriots' decision to move on from Bill Belichick this offseason was a move that truly marks the end of an era in New England. Jared Mayo seems like he was a popular guy in the organization, but as of right now, he's still very unproven, and he'll have a tough path as New England makes another risky move by taking Drake May at the top of the draft. Yeah, it was good to bid farewell, but there are some serious questions if May can actually be the guy in New England. They have wisely brought in Jacoby Brissett as a stopgap, but it's hard to say that May at 3rd overall was a good pick. Free agency was another area where the Patriots just fell short. Despite having plenty of cap space, they failed to make any splashy signings that could have immediately upgraded their talent-starved offense. Overall, the Patriots offseason feels like a series of half measures. They made some moves that could pay off down the line, but they are far from a sure thing. And in the short term, it's really hard to see how this team actually gets any better. Winner, Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears look like they may have finally flipped the script on their franchise. In fact, it's hard to find a team that made bigger strides this offseason. After years of wandering aimlessly in the wilderness, the Bears seem to have found their way. And that all starts with their decision to draft Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. This move signaled a new era in Chicago, a commitment to building a winner, and not just hoping that one would suddenly materialize. Especially because they learned from the Justin Fields experience and, well, their past mistakes, and they went all in on surrounding Williams with the weapons and protection that he needs to actually succeed right out the gate. Take the acquisition of Keenan Allen, for instance. Bringing in a veteran Pro Bowl receiver for just a 4th-round pick? That is highway robbery in today's NFL. Allen joins an already impressive receiving core with DJ Moore and rookie Rome Odunze, who has the potential to be a game-changer in his own right. This trio gives Williams the kind of talent that most rookie quarterbacks can only dream of. The Bears did some major retooling on the offensive line as well, which has been a bit of a sore spot for some years. Trading for Ryan Bates and signing guys like Coleman Shelton and Matt Pryor should add some much-needed depth and really shows that Chicago is serious about keeping their new franchise QB upright and giving him a chance to succeed. Defensively, the Bears might not have made as many splashy moves, but hey, retaining Jalen Johnson was crucial. The defense showed signs of life last season, especially with the addition of Montez Sweat, and keeping Johnson ensures that the secondary remains solid. If everything falls into place, Chicago isn't just looking at a playoff berth, they are looking at a whole new era of sustained success. Loser, Denver Broncos. After a very tumultuous 2 seasons with Wilson at the helm, culminating in an offseason decision to cut ties with the veteran quarterback, the Broncos were left with a massive dead cap hit. Denver then decided to go rogue and draft Bo Nix with the 12th overall pick. a move that shocked absolutely everyone. Oh, but the hits didn't stop there. The Broncos also lost some significant pieces on the defensive side of the ball, most notably Justin Simmons, who is a cornerstone of their secondary. Releasing Simmons, along with trading away Jerry Jeudy and parting ways with key players like Lloyd Cushenberry III and Josie Jewell, felt like the team was just stripping down to the studs. Meanwhile, they're trying to position it to the fans that they're building a new foundation. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I am certainly not buying what they're selling. Winner, Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have transformed into one of the most intriguing teams in the entire NFL, and this offseason, they took full advantage of their rising star, CJ Stroud, still being on his rookie deal. With Stroud looking every bit like a future franchise quarterback after a very stellar rookie season, the Texans knew it was time to strike while the iron was hot, and boy did they ever. First off, let's talk about the blockbuster move, bringing in Stephon Diggs. Adding a receiver of Diggs' caliber to an already solid receiving core is a game changer. Diggs is a proven playmaker who can stretch the field, run crisp routes, and make contested catches. But it wasn't just about the flashy moves. The Texans went out and filled critical needs across the board with quality veterans. Danielle Hunter is a significant upgrade on the edge. Joe Mixon, brought in to replace Devin Singletary, adds a versatile and dynamic presence in the backfield. And smart signings like Azeez Al-Shaair, Danico Autry, and Jeff Okudah should bolster the D. This offseason, the Texans didn't just make moves, they made a statement. They're here to compete, and they are building something that could last for a long, long time. Loser, Carolina Panthers. No surprises here. The Carolina Panthers have once again shown how to not run an NFL franchise, something they've really mastered during the David Tepper era. Their 2024 offseason was just the latest chapter in a saga of missteps and very questionable decisions that have left fans scratching their heads. It's almost impressive how consistent they've been in their incompetence, and this offseason was no exception. Let's start with the big splash that they made by signing Jadeveon Clowney. Now, Clowney is a name that carries weight, sure, but not for the right reasons these days. He's a guy who's known for showing up when he feels like it, and on a team that has been a perennial bottom dweller, that is not exactly a recipe for success. Carolina also watched, or in some cases pushed, key players walk out the door, including Brian Burns, Von Bell, and Bradley Bozeman. Losing Burns in particular is a gut punch. He was one of the few bright spots on that defense and a leader in the locker room. And boy, did Carolina get fleeced by New York in the deal for him. Winner, Detroit Lions. Under the guidance of general manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell, the Detroit Lions have been one of the most intriguing teams to watch over the past few years. And this offseason, they have continued their ascent with a series of moves that signal that they are all in on making a deep playoff run. The additions of Marcus Davenport and Carlton Davis were significant. Throw in rookies Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw Jr., and suddenly, the Lions secondary doesn't just look solid, it looks downright formidable. On the other side of the ball, re-signing Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Penei Sewell were critical moves that keep the core of this high-powered offense intact. Detroit's draft was equally impressive, with Holmes pulling in top talents like Arnold Rakestraw and Giovanni Manu. These rookies aren't just depth pieces, they are potential starters who could contribute immediately. The Super Bowl window is looking wide open here in the Motor City. Loser, Miami Dolphins. And it seems like Miami has just taken more steps back than forward. They said goodbye to some of their cornerstone players like Robert Hunt and Christian Wilkins, but to their credit, they tried to retool by bringing in veterans like Jordan Poyer, Johnny Smith, and Kendall Fuller. But still, this feels more like a patchwork little band-aid fix rather than an upgrade. The late signing of Odell Beckham Jr. is a pretty flashy move, but Beckham is no longer the game-changing receiver that he once was, and while he does add depth, it's hard to see him making the Dolphins' offense significantly better. The offseason feels like a missed opportunity for Miami, and it's hard to see how they are a serious AFC contender this year with the way that their roster is currently constructed. Winner, Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't exactly known for making splashy moves, but this offseason, they decided to swing for the fences, and boy do I love this approach. After a failed foray into the Kenny Pickett business, the Steelers finally decided that it was time to shake things up in a pretty big way. Enter Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, in the hopes that one of the two talented QBs can be a successful reclamation project. On the defensive side of the ball, the Steelers made another big splash by poaching linebacker Patrick Queen from the rival Ravens. Queen is a tackling machine and will add speed and playmaking ability versatility to a defense that is already one of the better units in the league. Add in the acquisition of cornerback Dante Jackson, and the Steelers have significantly bolstered a defense that will look to dominate in the AFC North. Loser, Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills had a rough go of it this offseason, and if you're a fan in Western New York, you've got every right to be concerned. This is a team that has been knocking on the door of a Super Bowl run for a few years now. But with each passing offseason, it feels like they're slipping further behind the likes of the Kansas City Chiefs. And this offseason, well, it might just be the one that slams the window shut on their title hopes. Let's start with the glaring losses. The Bills parted ways with Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen's top target, and the guy who turned this offense from good to elite. Diggs' departure, along with Gabe Davis, leaves a massive void in the receiving core. Yeah, sure, they brought in Curtis Samuel, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Mac Hollins, but come on, let's be real. None of these guys are filling the shoes of a player like Diggs. Sure, rookie Keon Coleman has potential, but expecting him to step in and dominate right away is a foolish strategy. Then there's the defense, which took its own set of hits. Losing Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde dismantles one of the best safety tandems in the league. Throw in the departure of Tre'Davious White, who is a cornerstone of their secondary, and you got a defense that's going to look very different in 2024. And it'll be tough for them to compete in 2024 with the AFC's elite. But which NFL team do you think was the biggest winner this offseason? Who do you think was the biggest loser? What did we get wrong? What did we get right? Who did we miss? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, well, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.